Well, good morning everybody. Sorry I've been away for quite a while. I've been quite busy. I've been away up to the far north of Scotland, all the way to Shetland to play at a music festival there, and I've been busy recording a CD with my keyboard player colleague. However, on Friday between 3 o'clock and 11 o'clock, sort of afternoon till night time, I sat down with my wife to watch Making a Murderer Part 2, and the words that immediately spring to mind would be stunning from my point of view. My wife still can't believe just how twisted the whole process involving Steve and Brendan is. Of course, it only took us less than 10 minutes to have quite a strange moment when Dolores is showing everybody all the letters that she'd received and postcards and the binder, and obviously quite a contrast with part one of Making a Murder, when all she got was a load of angry letters. So it was nice that we got to see Dolores getting all these nice letters. And the postcard at the top of the pile, you can actually see where I've written, love, hugs and best wishes from the Capaldi family. And my wife was just like, oh my gosh, what on earth have you been up to, sort of thing, But anyway, she did know that I'd sent postcards and letters to the guys and various other people involved in the cases. One of the things that we're getting a bit of feedback on was the performance of Dean and Jerry, and I would like to stick up for them on this occasion, definitely, and say, not to be too critical of them. I think that they were as outraged and surprised at the lack of investigation of anybody else, and the way that the attention was focused on Steve and clearly evidence planted. I think it was just as big a shock to them as it was to us, and as some people have pointed out, I can't quite see how anybody would have prevailed over there in Wisconsin back in 06 and 07. The cards were simply stacked too heavily against them. So I wouldn't be critical of Dean and Jerry. And I know that just before Making a Murderer came out, they announced that this new initiative of theirs, together with Keith Finley of the Innocence Project, to set up a centre for the Centre for Integrity of Forensic Science, and that's definitely something that's going to be worthwhile and of benefit. So as I say, I wouldn't be too critical of Dean and Jerry. It's one of these strange things where, yes, you have to criticise from a process point of view, but deep down I wouldn't be too critical of them. I think they probably did I'm pretty sure they did the best they could given the circumstances. Did they drop the ball a couple of times? Well, yes, but again, remember that since Making a Murderer has come out, Kathleen Zellner, I'm sure she's been inundated with people sending her information. So it's kind of weird, isn't it, how the state has spent millions to put Steve and Brendan behind bars. Yeah, Dean and Jerry, they didn't actually spend very much in the grand scheme of things. And isn't it a shame that in the legal system you've got lawyers like Kathleen Zellner, not that I begrudge her, but she comes along, busts these cases, and can afford to do it free of charge because she ends up collecting millions for her clients. I'm absolutely no doubt that she's a very, very wealthy woman. And one thing I did like was, being a very passionate Brit, I quite liked the fact that she only ever drove around in American cars. and I thought that was quite good. That was quite patriotic. Now, one thing we don't get to hear anything about is the control question. In a way, that's probably a good thing, because definitely Eric Cose has cornered that particular part of the market, so much so that he's even got t-shirts. And when I was up in Shetland, I did wear mine one day, and I did have people ask me what is the control question. So I simply said, well, you need to watch Making a Murderer, and some of them had, and were equally outraged and shocked at the first one, because this was before number 2 came out. And I think we do get that little bit of clip of Hamilton, Judge Hamilton. Is it David Hamilton? I can't remember what his name is. When he says that he's watched the whole of the confession, and at no time did he feel that Brendan's will was being overborne. Well, if flip-flopping in the control question wasn't being overborne, then I don't know what is, and I don't think any of us, any other of us, know what Hamilton means by that, because clearly it was overborne. Whether it's a political thing over there, it certainly looks like that, doesn't it? Early on, we get to hear from Robert Herman, and we also hear from Scott Walker. And my goodness, are those two thick or what? It is so crass to criticise a documentary without actually having seen it. You know, how stupid is that? They really should put their brain in gear before they put their mouth in motion and stick their big feet in their mouths. You know, they're ridiculous. I particularly enjoyed the line when Kathleen Zellner refers to the unmasking of Ken Kratz. That was music to my ears. Talking about music, as a musician, always listening out for these things, it struck me that at times they were using music which was actually a variation of the end theme, and I particularly like that because that's, as I said, from a musician's point of view, it's something that we tend to notice. The end theme being used in a sort of softer way, but throughout all 10 parts. Let me know if you noticed that as well. Next, Eric Cose. Where does the dude get the energy from? My suspicion is that it's a combination of huge amounts of Dr. Pepper, but the new energy variety, and huge bowls of Captain Crunch. I'm yet to find out exactly what his secret is, but that guy is definitely on a mission. And so fair play to you, dude. You're doing a great job. The interesting thing about Making a Murderer coming out was that it was only a couple of weeks before that Kathleen Zellner filed for an extension, so that she doesn't actually file until, well, by the 20th of December at the latest. And of course there's various reasons for that, possibly. I like the one that Eric Cose's put forward, that the reason for the 20th is so that the judges get all that information just before Christmas, in the same way that Dean and Jerry got it just before Christmas. I must be losing the plot here. Dear, dear, I'm a bit of coffee here. Which I do agree with Eric Cose's time frame. Hopefully we'll get a evidentiary hearing around about May time, and that would be absolutely superb, because I think May in Manitowoc would be very pleasant. I hear it could be 4 weeks or more of an evidentiary hearing, so I'll definitely be going across at least for a couple of days of that. There's no way I would miss that, and hopefully we'll get to see a few more of the supporters there, because I think it's going to be potentially it's going to be the only time we actually get to see Zellner in court, because once all the state's evidence has been impeached, I mean, it's been publicly denounced, well and truly denounced by Making a Murderer too. But of course this all has to be presented to various judges of the Wisconsin Appeals Court of the 2nd District, of which one of the members is Lisa Neubauer, who was one of the judges that wouldn't agree to listen to either Steve's or Brendan's case at that stage, way back in, I think, 2010 or something like that. And Mark Gundrum is on that, but presumably he would have to remove himself as being one of the judges due to a conflict of interest. And as I've mentioned before, a Brian Hagedorn, who apparently is a bit of a rarity in Wisconsin, an honest judge. But even if they were a little bit dishonest, they would find it incredibly difficult. In fact, I'd say they would find it impossible to not go in favour of Steve and Brendan once Kathleen Zellner destroys the prosecution case against them. Anyway, I've kept you long enough, and catch you soon. Bye for now.